Ladies and gentlemen, today I'll be presenting on mathematics. On mathematics today, I'll be talking about one of the branches of mathematics called algebra. On algebra today, I'll also be presenting on simultaneous equation involving products. On simultaneous equations involving products, I'll also be discussing on solving simultaneous products equations in algebra. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, I was told that algebra is a branch of mathematics that deals with letters, symbols, and numbers used to represent and unknown values and solve problems. And I was also told that algebra was developed or introduced by Dao Fatus and Mohammed Abi Musa Akwa-Rizvi. And I was also told that algebra was systematically developed around 820 AD. And I was also told that algebra came from an Arabic word called Algebra, meaning restorations of completion. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be looking at a problem to solve. What are our problem today? Our problem is, given that xy is equal to 30, yz is equal to 18, and xz is equal to 50. Find the value of x plus y plus z. In order to solve our problem, ladies and gentlemen, we will be looking at our problem to solve. We say solution. On our solution today, we'll be taking our letters or variables in order to solve our problem. We'll be indicating them in the parenthesis. So we say parenthesis open, we have x, y, parenthesis closes, another one open. We also have y, z, parenthesis closes. Another one open, we also have x, z, parenthesis closes. All should be equal to the multiplications of the values that are attached to the letters. And they are xy will be equal to 30 times, yz equal to 18 times, xz will just be equal to 15. So we say parenthesis open xy, parenthesis closes, another one open yz, parenthesis closes, another one open xz, parenthesis closes will just be equal to 30 times 18 times 15, and we have 8,100. Ladies and gentlemen, on this note, we'll be expressing these letters in order to multiply them by rearranging them in a systematic order. So we say note that xy times yz times xz will just be equal to x times x times y times y times z times z. So we say x times x is x squared times y times y is automatically y squared times z times z is z squared. What do we do? In conclusion or combination, we say x squared times y squared times z squared. So we have x squared, y squared, and also have z squared. So we'll be using this just to solve our problem. So we say x squared, y squared, and z squared will be used to represent this. In order to solve our problem, will just be equal to 8,100. What do we do? This can still be expressed as parenthesis open x, y, z, parenthesis closes, all raised to the power 2 will just be equal to 8,100. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, why we did this? We did it because we want to take the square root on both sides of this problem just to get our answer. So we say we square this, take the square root of this, we also take the square root of this side. What do we do next? This square root and this guy cancel. So we say x, y, z will just be equal to the square root of 8,100. Automatically we have nothing. So we have x, y, z, ladies and gentlemen, to be nothing. We'll be using this just to solve for our letters or variables, which is x, y, and z. So we say note that x, y, z will be equal to nothing. Remember, we'll be finding the letter x. In how much? We will be dividing both sides by y and z in order to make x to be the subject. So say y, z, and this will be divided by y, z number automatically is given as 18. So 1 0 will be equal to 18. So this and the automatically cancel 1 x. X will be equal to 90 divided by 18. Automatically we have 5. So all they have the answer for x. So x will just be equal to 5. Using x, y, z will just be equal to 90. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be using this just to make y to be the subject. So on this note, we say in making y to be the subject, we divide both sides by x and z. So we say x and z. And remember, we have x and z number. So x z number here is equal to 15. So this will be divided by 15. So what do? We cancel x, we also cancel x. We cancel z, we also cancel z. We have a y. So y will be equal to 90 divided by 50. Automatically we have 6. So our answer for y automatically is equal to 6. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll also be finding the letter z. So using this mathematical problem just to get our answer for z. So we say x, y, z will be equal to 90. We divide both sides by x and y in order to make z to be the subject. So we say x, y, and remember, we have the number or the value for x, y. X, y number or value will just be equal to 30. So this divided by 30. What do? X, y cancel. We have z will be equal to 90 divided by 30. Automatically, we have 3. So our answer for z will just be equal to 3. In conclusion, or combination, ladies and gentlemen, we're told to find the value of x plus y plus z. So x plus y plus z now will just be equal to x number is just equal to 5 plus y number is equal to 6 plus z number is automatically equal to 3. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, if I add 5 plus 6 plus 3, automatically I will have 14 as my answer. So ladies and gentlemen, this is our answer for today. But to prove that x, y, z will just be equal to 90, on this note, ladies and gentlemen, we already have the letters or the value for x, y, and z. And x is 5 times, y is 6 times z, which is 3, will just be equal to 90. Just to prove our answer. So ladies and gentlemen, 5 times 6 is 30, 30 times 3 is 90, will just be equal to 90. Ladies and gentlemen, these have already been proven mathematically. So our answer 14 is automatically correct. Ladies and gentlemen, I remember one of the greatest mathematicians today. He was Muhammad Abi Musa Akwa Risky. He made a contribution to algebra by introducing a book called the Compendious Book on calculation by completion and balancing. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me on this math journey. Keep practicing, keep putting limits, stay curious, and learn how to derivatives. Always remember that mathematics is the key. Don't forget to like, share, stay tuned, subscribe, and comment in the comment section. Once again, I'm P. Bomasia Jr., popularly or commonly known as Chachi, the all-time record breaker. Thank you.